Okay, so just to introduce ourselves, I'm Kerry Smith and Beverly Egan. Between us, we've probably had about 60 years' experience with and for children. So to be part of this wonderful project has been a great experience for us. Sarah can't be with us today. She's actually our educator in the school aged care that we're representing, but she's with us very much in spirit. It's been so interesting listening just to the diversity of the projects today. I felt I had to say that, and this is probably a very hard act for us to follow, being the last. Our sense is that at the core of all that we've heard so far today is that it's about the best interests of the child. And our project also has the children as the focus of why we do what we do. We're looking at it, though, using a social justice as the underpinning pedagogy of what happened.
Okay, Kerry and I actually own Kids Fun Club at Benora Point, so we're private owners. We've been there since about 2007, and we have struggled with our relationship with the school there, and we were concerned about the ongoing viability of the service, and we were wondering why the school population wasn't utilising our program. When we heard about this project, we thought that it was perfect for us in enabling us to seek to improve access to our service and at the same time contribute to building a sustainable and responsive outside school hours care sector in that area. Our interest in being involved in this project stemmed from that, basically from our viability point of view. But we were wondering why there's about 600 children that attend this school and we were only being accessed by about 30 families, and it was very transient. They'd come and go. In keeping with the guidelines of this particular project, we used the action research methodology. Our knowledge of action research prepared us for the fact that our initial question would change. We did have to keep reframing our question. But we realised that we were on a journey, and we didn't know where we were going to finish, but we were willing to take the journey. From earlier superficial investigations, we had a few ideas about why the children at the school weren't utilising our service, but we felt that this project would provide us with the opportunity to further investigate. We decided to involve the children in the research, as we strongly believed that word of mouth would be a great marketing tool for us, and that if the children are happy, they'd spread the word for us. So based on this thinking, we chose talking circles as a data collection tool for finding out what the children liked about the program. This method of gathering information fitted with one of our key principles of practice, based on the concept that the child is a strong, powerful, competent and complex individual who is full of possibilities.
Click. Yep. No. Yes. Yes. All right. So our journey begins. We use the question, where do all the children go after school comes out? We'd previously had conversations with the school, with staff, with families when we were first setting up the school aged care 5-6 years ago, and we found that there were certain demographics that characterised the cohort of families that used our service or that were going to. There's many blended families, and this was many one-parent families, and we were finding that there's this 1 week with one parent, 1 week with another parent. So therefore the times that the children spent at the service fluctuated from week to week. Some weeks they were there, some weeks they weren't. Often they were in their grandparents' care after school, and that was because the grandparent took over the afternoon shift. older siblings were also quite responsible for some of their younger brothers and sisters. We've also found that there's a range of shift workers within the area. So we have nurses, we have chefs, we have people that work in the hospitality industry. And for some, our hours of operation, which are the normal hours, aren't fitting in with their family work and their commitments. And also, because we're on the border, we have many families that work in New South Wales and work in Queensland and work in New South Wales. Is that right?
Live in New South Wales.
Sorry. Very confused where I live. Okay, so, and where am I? I'm in Sydney today and I'm in Canberra in 2 weeks. Anyway, so daylight savings affects their ability to pick their children up on time. And I know that this has been talked about today as well. So at 5 o'clock in Queensland, we're closing in New South Wales. So that also, so the children don't come. Where do they go? We're not that sure. There's a latchkey mentality within the area that we live in. Many of the children catch a bus outside the school gate and go home. And we know that there's no parents at home through our own observations, through conversations that we've had. We know of one instance a couple of years ago where a child got on the bus and was still on the bus when the bus finished their route. Only that the bus driver knew the child, were they able to get in contact with the parent, because the buses are actually public buses as well, which was a new thing for us coming from Queensland where the regulations were a little different. So where did this lead us on our journey and the methodology that we were using? So we knew this information to start with. So rather than survey the parents and ask them their opinions and things like that, we decided that we were going to work with the children and we were going to ask them the questions and we were going to find out what they thought. And what we used is a process or a methodology called talking circles. And it's based on a theory that's called Theory U. And it's about a process which you can use to discuss and confront and challenge and solve problems and realise opportunities. And we felt that that was a really good framework from where we were coming from. So our talking circles encourage the children to talk about why they came to Kids Fun Club and also talk about why their friends didn't come. And we also based our talking circles, and just show you this, I'll flash it around, it's called the Talking Circles. And it was another project that was done by some colleagues of mine around talking with children and having certain guided conversations. And if they talk about family, friends, etc. I'm happy to show, happy to show that to people later if you like. So where did Sarah Clydesdale come into that? As I said, she is our nominated supervisor, and so she was going to run the talking circles for us. So as Beverly and I live in Queensland, we weren't able to be there to actually run that. So we decided that we would be the project leaders, and Sarah and the other staff and the children at the centre would use audio recordings as a way to capture the data. And then so that would hopefully answer our question, where do the children go after school comes out? So then we subsequently analysed and used the information, we thought, to find out why children weren't coming. We found out a whole lot of other things. And it was mainly about our program. And it opened our eyes to, perhaps how a bit crappy it was really, and what the children really wanted, what they felt about it, what their feelings were about, and how the essence of it, and we'll talk about this more, is about relationships. And so that was where it was sort of starting to lead us. So basically the children's main concern was about the relationships that impacted on their feelings of belonging. later discussion also assisted children to air their feelings and strategies about other children in particular. And so with the staff and the children, they all built strategies that everyone implemented. So our journey continued.
We both come from tertiary level employment, so we use I teach in TAFE, Kerry Teacher University. We decided to use Bronfenbrenner. When I'm teaching my students, I live with Bronfenbrenner and Vygotsky. And we decided to use that in the area. So we based our diagram, we based on Bronfenbrenner's ecological systems theory. And he purported that the implications for building relationships, so our project turned more to building relationships, to the relationships. And he purported that the implications for building relationships in the middle years means that the educators need to work to support the primary child-adult relationship through provision of environments that welcome and nurture families. Now, in our service, as in a few others that have been mentioned, we're in shared space. We're also in the special ed unit, and a lot of the school community doesn't even know that we're there. So, especially in terms of a lot of these children are latchkey children, so they catch the bus to school, they catch the bus home from school. So a lot of people don't know that we're there. But we do feel that the environment has got a lot to do with how we're building these relationships, how we're supporting them. Benora Point is a very small community in northern New South Wales. It was initially developed as a retirement community. That was why I liked the idea of opening this service there.
We thought we'd live down there
I could
eventually.
see me when I retired in one of those little buggies going up and down the street with the flag on the back. But it's since developed with an influx of younger families. It's close to the coast, but housing is relatively affordable. And I think a lot of the people a lot of the younger families choose that area for the lifestyle. They can have that coast lifestyle, but be able to afford to rent or purchase at an affordable level for them. So with this in mind, we felt that Bronfenbrenner's ecological systems would be used as our theoretical basis, part of our theoretical basis for our research. In terms of a microsystem, we felt that the children and families who attend Centaur State School connected with the ecosystems as we've identified here. So we've got the child in the middle, the child is the centre of everything. They're connecting with Kids Fun Club. We're looking at the partnerships, the relationships between the child and Kids Fun Club, and then further out to Kids Fun Club and the community, and the child working through those ecosystems as well. We felt that if we worked with this diagram, it would help us to centralise our thinking about what was happening. Bronfenbrenner, when he talks about using the environment to build and support relationships, we felt that connected with our talking circles. By using the talking circles to provide children with this environment, that they had a safe and supportive space where their voice was paramount. We're actually listening to them and acting on what they're saying.
So what has our journey so far uncovered? Firstly, I think the big thing is that we've found is that our children are belonging and they're becoming. So we're very excited about that. You can see there something that says barn yarns, and I just want to tell you a little bit about that. It came about when the children were talking about yarning circles. And our coordinator, who you can see sitting up there as part of the talking circle, is a very spiritual person, and she has a very multicultural perspective of the service. And some of our Indigenous children were being part of the talking circles, and she was talking about, okay, it's like the yarning circle. And because one of the aspects of talking circles is that the group, whoever it is, children, adults can do this, actually name their circle. So she was, I guess, not challenging, but using a provocation for the children and talking about yarning circles. And one of the children that is Indigenous said, no, I don't want to call it that. And so she said, well, why? And he said, because that's what we do in our family. That's our family thing. That's when we talk to our cousins, and we do that. I don't want to call it that here. So, okay, what do you think we could do? So the children between them chose the name Barn Yarns. And when we heard that, we said, what on earth? Why? You know, we don't deliver in a barn. What's going on? And she said they had said the room that they were in looked like a barn. So, okay, it had high ceilings and it's got some beams, so we figure that that's where it came from. So it's become their circle, and it's called Barn Yarns. So by naming their circle, the children have really created their own space, and where they're listening to each other and they're planning for the future at Kids Fun Club. Okay, so it also gave us evidence that listening to children, and I mean really listening, there's listening and there's listening, but this is listening to children and bringing out what they're saying, and not just saying, okay, we've done that, we'll tick a box. Listening to the children's voices has given children agency within our service, and we see that as part of that social justice pedagogy, that children but really believe that they are part of what's going on around them. And in further conversations, the children were beginning to let their feelings be known in relation to how they felt about other children, what they'd like to see as changes in Kids Fun Club, what they liked about it, and their thoughts about future program ideas. And educators supported the children in implementing strategies that provided a safe place and a time to enjoy at Kids Club. And just a short example of this, we've had a child with us that was quite a challenge, and the children found him quite a challenge as well. And no one wanted to play with him, and he disrupted people. He didn't know how to play. He was a very vulnerable child. His story is quite sad. So they were talking about how to deal with this. The children and Sarah were talking about how to deal with that. And so they came up with some strategies, and one of them was giving this child much more responsibility, because he's really good at knowing things. When Beverly and I visit down there, he goes, the bosses are here. So he goes and said, we've done this, we've done that, and if we want to find anything, we just ask him. And he goes, yeah, it's over there and in that. So he had a lot of knowledge. And he has since left, but by the way, he's come back. But we thought, anyway, we love him to death, but he's coming back. So, but the children have been saying that they miss him, because they've now recognised that he was actually the go-to person in the service when they wanted to know something. So those conversations and those building of relationships and that feeling of being safe and belonging, we are seeing the evidence through the eyes of our educator. So the program's now much more child orientated. The vacation care was planned by the children. It was implemented by the children. They've had so much more input into things. One mother has said, the kids had so much fun during vacation care, they can't wait to come back again. And they're telling their friends, so what's happening? We're getting more children. So the children feel more confident to comment on aspects of the program and their relationships with other children. So now the barn yarns are actually being used when and whenever necessary. They call a barn yarn. It's not so structured anymore. They still have that structure, but if they want to have one, they sit down and have one. And as an example of that, the staff, all the children, as I said, if they become concerned that some children are becoming disconnected with the program, or exhibiting inappropriate behaviours, barn yarns will be called, and they'll be used as the space to have children confront the issues and make some decisions about what is appropriate behaviour, as an example. So we move on again. Has it changed? changed, yep.
As part of the barnyarns, there's a fairly active Indigenous community around us, and Sarah lives in Mullumbimby, which is, I'd like to live there, alternative. It's quite a nice little town. Okay, they decided that they had to have some sort of talking stick, we call it, like in the yarning circles. So they found a stick. One of Sarah's friends from Mullumbimby polished the stick, and then during vacation care we had a bicultural worker come in and from the local community, and she helped the children decorate the stick in the local community's symbols. So they've got their talking stick now. The teachers, we have had issues with our relationships with the teachers in the school.
Like the crayon and the dancing.
Yeah, we have the milk on the wrong shelf in the fridge, and the children's drink bottles are on the wrong shelf. So,
and our children left the windows open, didn't they?
Yeah.
Of course, because they're our children after 3 o'clock, but it's actually their children, that's still their children.
But they left the window open. Yeah. So actually, Sarah has commented that in the last few weeks, teachers from the school are actually commenting on how welcoming it is now. They do a welcoming at the beginning of the program, and they've seen the talking stick. It has pride of place. So now the teachers are actually starting to comment on the environment around it. The children they understand that the talking stick is used to show respect within the circle. And the fact that it's a collaboration, it's a belonging again, that it belongs to them and it's part of what they've done. Sarah she's a facilitator of most of the talking circles, and she's come to understand the children's perspectives in relation to the ongoing program, and she also recognises how powerful the process is in gaining the children's respect. And she's gone on to develop a deeper understanding of her role as a lead educator at Kids Fun Club. Sarah actually, she had only just completed her diploma about 12 months ago in Children's Services, but she had about 16 years in disabilities before that. So we do have a high proportion of ISS children, and we feel that that background has given her a bit more insight, like you were saying before, about that disability background, you know, having a bit more understanding than just the early childhood background and the middle childhood. So, so she's really enjoying this journey. It's funny because for quite a few years now we've been trying to get the staff at the centre to do children's meetings, and we haven't actually been very successful. You know, we can't get the children to sit down, that sort of thing. We don't know why this has happened. Maybe because we gave Sarah the Talking Circles book and it had some guidance in it. We actually don't know why, but it's clicked fantastically. And she actually she followed the Talking Circles for the first session, but after that she's gone off on a tangent. And at first we were worried about it when we heard the audios, because we were thinking, oh, this isn't really what we were expecting. But now we speak to her fairly often, and we've seen what journey she's on. So we've joined her on this journey as well. Because the Children's Agency is respected and it's now seen as an important part of the Kids Fun Club program planning, talking circles are an integral part of the weekly routine. So as well as this ability for the children to call a barn yarn any time, or the staff to call a barn yarn any time, it's also part of the program every week. Some parents have come in and they've said things like how quiet and calm the space is now, and what a pleasure it's to see the children engaged in quiet conversation and sitting for a while rather than running around and looking out of control. Because we're in that shared space and because it's special education unit, some of the children from that unit are there past the end of school day, and we have to respect the fact that they're still there, even though from 2:15 it's our space. And that creates an issue for us on how we how we welcome our children in. We've tried many ways of trying to alleviate that initial flurry when the children come in, and there's still children from the special ed unit there as well. So for us to have parents come in and actually say this, it's quite empowering for us, and we know we're on the right journey now. Okay, so our recommendations is our project, it could have gone very broad, but we decided this was being enjoyed by us, by Sarah, by the other staff at the centre and by the children and the families, that we decided to keep it very tight. So our recommendations for the future as a result of this project, the viability of the service is still a concern, given the transience of the school population and the vulnerability of many of the families. Like Kerry said before, there's lots of blended families, and we lose track, even though it's on our computer system, of who's attending what which week. It's different payments, you know, one week that parent will pay, the next week another parent will pay.
Or not.
And then, or not, mostly not. And then they'll change. For whatever reason, they'll change their system, and then they don't tell us about it, and then they get angry because we've given them an account and they didn't. Yeah, so there's lots of things that are happening, and there's a lot of vulnerability for families in that area. The demographics haven't changed, and the families are still struggling with unemployment and economic disadvantage. We are in a disadvantaged area. We feel further research is needed to identify how to support these children and families, and also to build our links to the school and the community to develop an interdisciplinary approach. We've tried many things over the years to connect with the school. It's just not working. I think a new principal's coming in, so maybe, you know, brighter futures, light at the end of the tunnel sort of thing. It's another story. Our talking circles form a small system in the bigger picture of life in the community of Benora Point. Our literature review has informed us about the importance of providing the community, starting with our small Kids Fun Club community, with information and support. We have a fantastic ISS support group around us, BDSCA. Jenny, our support person there, is fantastic. They have a really great family support network happening. So we try to spread that information as much as we can. We envisage linking our families who may not be aware of what support or advice is available to them in the wider community. They actually, even just talking to Centrelink, they're not confident about talking to Centrelink. We give them contact numbers, we tell them what to say. That doesn't seem to be enough. So we envisage that we'll do more support for them, form a little group that helps them. And we're looking at maybe using talking circles for that, using that for the families as well. There's lots of local clubs around Benora Point, sporting clubs, Twin Towns. Anybody heard of Twin Towns? That's in Benora Point, part of it. There's quite a few Triple P programs that are run out of BDSCA. There's 2 really active community centres, but the children from the school don't seem to know about it. There's no connection there. So that's the viability is really what we need to really keep looking at.
So, in conclusion, by creating a safe space, we've found that the children were clearly able to express their points of view. This journey has given the children a real sense of belonging and has also created a space where children and staff feel comfortable together. So it is hoped, and I quote, that by choosing to talk with children in a safe and secure environment about things that matter to them, both children and adults will have the knowledge to co-create their best possible futures. That's Casley and Cartmel. She's sitting there, sorry. I only work with her every day of the week. Anyway, and Sarah couldn't be with us today. However, we'd like to acknowledge her contribution and enthusiasm by concluding with her reflection. Since starting the barnyards, I have noticed an improvement in the children's behaviours, and it has made our most busiest time of day our most peaceful and structured time. The children have responded very well, and the introduction of the talking stick has challenged some of the children who are learning to regulate their own behaviour and has given the children ownership of the space around them. It has strengthened the educators' and children's relationships, and there are now clearer guidelines of what is expected of each child for that day. We share decisions about what is planned on that day and for future planning, and the children are encouraged to express their views and are given the opportunity to be listened to. It is now a time that we are learning to respect and trust each other, and this activity is helping to connect to their everyday lives and interests. It is a time for us to be a group and to have fun together, even if it is for such a short time. Thank you.
Thank you.